Well, I asked Dr. Uwe last week from Neutrog to do a bit of research for me, a bit of homework that I gave him last week with blood and bone. I get a lot of questions about blood and bone, and you see it a lot recommended on the telly, so let's find out from Dr. Uwe. G'day, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Graham. Yes, I certainly had a bit of a look at blood and bone as a fertiliser, and I guess it's one of the earliest fertilisers to be used, and even we at Neutrog still make one called Meatworks.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so it's very popular, and blood and bone basically consists of steam-treated blood and bone meal, and so it contains good levels of nitrogen and from the blood, and obviously phosphorus and calcium from the bone. It does, however, lack potassium, so if you're using blood and bone, you really need to think about supplementing that nutrient. So if you want to use blood and bone and you're happy to use it, it can be a useful fertiliser for things like growing leafy greens and greening up your lawns, but it's not truly a balanced fertiliser.
No, I'm pleased you've told me that, because that's exactly been my impression of the past. What about other nutrients that are available in blood and bone?
So if you're using blood and bone, you don't get those instant results, and that's due in part because the microbes which would normally be there degrading that material are killed during the sterilising process when they make it.
Aha.
Yeah, so that means it takes a little time to recolonise and break down the material. The other thing is, of course, bone, even in the ground form, still takes considerable time to break down and release that phosphate, which is probably one of the reasons why people are happy to use it around natives, even if they are phosphate sensitive, because of that slower release. So unfortunately, blood and bone doesn't necessarily also contain high levels of things like the micronutrients or even things like sulphur.
Yeah, and sulphur is that S, folks, that you see on the back label of fertilisers. That S is sulphur, and it's now known to be one of the essential nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, the NPK balance, along with calcium and sulphur. They're the five that are really important for plant growth. But blood and bone can be such a slow process, up to 3 months or so, before all those the goodies get recolonised into it, and then the whole material has got to be broken down into a liquid for the plant to take it up. So what's an alternative that you'd suggest that's really going to work?
Well, I guess, because blood and bone is very traditional, it is very popular, as you said. So we've evolved and developed more advanced fertilisers. So one of the current projects we're actually doing at Neutrog is to develop a blood and bone which is enriched with microbes and those missing nutrients. But that's because from our perspective, we want to ensure there's microbial activity within our products and also to enhance that nutrient release and cycling within the soil. So blood and bone does have a place in the fertiliser regime. However, if you want to ensure that you supply all those nutrients and make them available, you need a balanced fertiliser. So I would use something like Rapid Razor or Rooster Booster. And if you want a bit more punch in your fertiliser, say, for example, for your autumn veggies, then Gigantic would actually be probably a great way to go.
100%, yeah, that's what I do. So although blood and bone can still have its uses, very slow to act, but more advanced fertilisers like Rooster Booster, Rapid Razor, and for that matter, Gigantic are not only nutritionally balanced, but are also microbially active, and that's what we want in the soil, something that's really going to bring the soil to life. These Neutrog products are available at Bunnings, other hardware stores, and of course at good garden centres and nurseries. Thank you for homework, 10 out of 10.
No problem. Thank you very much, Graham. Don't often get a 10 out of 10, but I'm happy to take it.
Go for it. Thanks, Uwe. All the best, mate.
Cheers. Bye-bye.